Yeah, that's true. Well, that's what I spent all of my week hours not sure in the office.
You're not at the office. All right, this is regular session, Mayor and City Council meeting, 6 p.m. Wednesday, April 3rd, 2019, City Hall Complex. I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Item number 3, invocation. Let's just have a moment, a silent prayer between yourselves. Thank you very much. Now, item number 4, call to the public. I have 2 speakers. We'll start with Eduardo. Just, please. State your name and your address. And as you know, in call to the public, you have 3 to 5 minutes.
Sure.
All right?
Thank you very much. My name is Eduardo Delcy, 2 Dixon Court, Pino Springs. And I'm chairman of the library board. And I'm here before the council to extend our board's recommendation for filling the vacancy that has existed in the board with the Nogales resident Jerry Smith. Yes. We have information on that and extend our support for your continued support for the library system that we have here in our city. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dawson. Speaker number 2, Janice D. Potter? Yes. Hi, Janice. State your name and your address, please.
My name
for the
is
record.
Janice D. Potterbell. I'm Dr. Potter. I'm a veterinarian. I live at 182 North 4th Street for the past, I think, almost 15 years. And I'm here to talk about the trolley and Megan Lee's postcard that's talked to you first. And show you a t-shirt that's been recently made about this event. You can see this is just the first one. It's not the final copy, but this was just done recently. Okay? So, what I want you to put in your mind is 2 Saturdays after this coming one, which is the 20th of April. It will be the debut of the trolley and its first tours. And I'm representing Linda Rushton, and she couldn't be here because she went to a family reunion. It was unexpected. And so she prepared basically what I'm going to say momentarily, but this is to remind you, put it on the bulletin board because we'd like you to participate in it if possible. Good evening, Mayor and City. My name is Janice Potterbell. For the past 15 years,
Could you bring, yes,
Okay.
bring it down. There you go.
Okay. For the past 15 years, I have lived in the historic 4th Street neighborhood of Memorial Avenue here in Nogales. I have been a long-standing member of the Memorial Avenue group, which I hope most of you are aware of. Linda Rushton first started trying to develop Memorial Avenue and the park and the flowers and the butterflies. I've been asked to address you this evening in regards to the city trolley debut scheduled for this coming April 20th, which is a Saturday. The trolley tours of the city are planned to begin at 10 a.m., at noon, and a final tour at 2 p.m. We are inviting you, the mayor, city council members, Dr. Felix, the city attorney Pada, and others to join us, along with other instrumental people who helped restore the trolley for its very first tour at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, April 20, as noted in those postcards. Linda, the Morley Group chairman, has received calls from groups in Green Valley that will likely be attending this first event. This will be a special moment for the city of Nogales. Linda has notified the Tucson television stations of the event and hopes that they will arrive with some good news at the border. We are asking restaurants on the route of the trolley to offer rides at riders a discount or some sort of incentive to encourage them to spend some money in Nogales. In addition, there are plans for an evening ride to show off the car lights at the 1904 courthouse. There are tours with trolleys in the cities of Oaxaca, San Miguel de Allende, Guanajuato, and other popular towns in the southern border of Mexico. Why not Nogales is what she wants to do. Something that we could hope to get tourism and even family events. So I passed out these cards to remind you. I hope that you will support this event and this idea. And she's put a lot of effort into it. And I got a call or an email from the lady that runs the McDonald's, who could not attend tonight, but she has been a big supporter to even, I think she donated a large sum of money toward the painting of the trolley and its restoration. I know it is sorry, I guess I didn't talk well. I know it has been a big deal to get it fixed and taken care of, and it's a town responsibility, however it's covered. I don't know those details. I think one of its biggest needs in the future is to find a place to keep it in a covered parking area. And Linda's been doing research trying to find out if it could even be done at an unused produce establishment. But those things are still in the works, and you would have to make all the decisions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. I only have two forms filled out. Is there anybody, call to the public, anybody want to say anything before we get started? No? Okay. Okay, with item number 5, presentation, we're going to start with NHS Stunt and Cheer U.S. Spirit National Champions. And I got you right here, my friend.
Okay. I thought I was going to be after you, but
No,
it's okay.
no.
It's okay.
But you go ahead.
First of all, welcome to the City Council meeting, and we're glad to have you here to do this presentation. I just want to say that, you know, a lot of people think that cheering and stunt and cheering is just jumping up and down and yelling, but it's not. It takes a lot of work. And these kids, they start their season way before the school year, and they work all through the year. They go through the winter sports like football, basketball, all the way through February, and then they start their competitions at the state level and the national level. This year, we've had a really good team. I know Mrs. Hernandez at the school board meeting mentioned that she's had a lot of great teams at NHS. And but this happens to be the best one of all. And I want to congratulate all of you for doing a great job. I want to congratulate the coaches, and also I want to congratulate the parents, because they support all these kids through every trip they go, through all year long. And we're glad to have you as a representative of Nogales, and you have brought a lot of pride to Nogales again. Thank you.
With that, we're going to present you with a certificate. Okay? You read the names, and I'll follow you. This is heavy. How many are? About 100? Okay, they told me that they were all in order according to that list. Okay? So if you read the list, we should be all right with that.
All right. Okay. The first one is Adriana Ainsa.
Is that here?
Are you looking
Yes.
at it?
No. Yes, it's right there.
Okay. The next one is.
Okay, she's not here? Okay, is there a coach here?
Well, that's our JV team.
All of them?
I don't know.
Well, she's on our JV team, so.
Okay. Well, this list is 2 pages long. And we have one for all of them.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so if she's not here, could somebody pick this up, please? So, there's some people missing. Could you just stand here and I'll get it to you.
Thank you.
All right.
And the next one is Sebastián Armenta.
Is it track? Good. I was expecting you to be
Cielo Arochi.
She's in track. All right. Everybody's in track. I love that.
Haley Bacon.
Congratulations. Oops.
Priscila Ballesteros.
Is she track? No.
Kayla Barton.
Track. Are they going to make it to the championship in track? Can we do this again? Oh, yeah. We get to the state.
Daniela Carusilva. Daniela Ceballos. Charlie Cervantes. Charlie Cervantes. Miguel Chiquete.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Megan Condes. Ariadna Erican.
Arturo, ¿qué dice esa? ¿Qué dice esa? ¿No te da mal?
No, sí, ahora está bien. Eso pues bien, ¿no?
Victoria Félix.
No, espérate, espérate. Vea.
Victoria Félix.
Ok. La volteaste,
Victoria Félix.
Maybe. Okay.
Jerry Figueroa.
Oh, wait a minute.
¿Ves? No estaban en order.
Right here.
Lisette Gámez. Jimena González. Camila González. Magali González. Camille Heck. Anidem Hernández. Oscar Huerta. Danisa Lorta. Alejandra Martínez. Jessica Molina. Sabina Monge.
¿Te conoce alguien?
Mayra Monreal. Melanie Norzagaray. Yelitza Ortega. Karina Pavón. Ashley Quintero. David Ramirez. Brianna Ramos. Mia Richardson.
He's the head coach.
Maya Robles. Brandon Rojas. Daniela Saviñón. Shacit Tolano. Isaiah Valle.
Yo te conozco, ¿verdad? Yes. How you doing, viejito? ¿Cómo me Used to be my student.
Oh, really?
Carolina Verdugo.
Mercy, mercy. That sounds familiar.
That sounds familiar. Oh, you were here. No. She's always there. This is you. Yes, congratulations. Carolina, los grupos here.
Valerie Cepeda. Dominic Zuniga. Enrique Álvarez.
And who's this?
Coach Carol. I also want to mention that Coach Hernandez will be retiring this year, unfortunately.
Hey, students, just for your information, on behalf of the members of the City Council, my office, and everybody that works with us in the City of Nogales, congratulations, you guys are champions. Keep it up. But you know, you're champions on this, gotta be champions in education. Okay?
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you for being here with us.
Now they're going to do a stunt.
You gotta tumble on your way out the door. That's doable.
Thank you very much.
Can she do it? Is there enough room for you? No? No. I don't want you
Bring
to
your team through here so we can shake their hands.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Why don't you guys start?
Turn around.
Just turn around and you guys start
So
shaking.
you shake the rest of the concert.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Keep up the great work. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
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 Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
¿Es eso?
Por eso no salgo del bar. Me va a regañar el mayor. What's going on, man?
Okay, ahora sí. Okay, item B on presentation, the Butterfly Art Contest winners. And this, Councilwoman, would you do me the honors, please? Todito tuyo. That's all yours.
Okay.
Yes.
Would the Cultural Arts Committee step forward to help you, please?
I don't think it's me. I have mine off.
Okay, the first place is Victoria Garcia from Mexico School.
Esther, tell them a little bit about the contest that the students don't know about the
Okay,
contest.
so that you know what happened, we invited all the schools to participate at painting butterflies. We received 150 butterflies and they were displayed on Cannon Park. They did a great job. It was really difficult to select, the winners. It was really not a contest because they all did a beautiful job. I really thank the schools to participate and thank you kids. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was just great. Thank you. So the second place is Maria Andrea Valenzuela. The three of them are from Mexico School. That's a nice job. So the three winners were from Mexico School. Now the third place winner was Alondra Vasquez. Great job, thank you. And then we have the certificate presented to the school. Is any of your teachers?
That's Georgie Sobrina.
Thank you very much for participating. I mean, it was really a very nice experience. And then we promised a pizza party for the winner, and incidentally it was from the same school. So
we got three?
No. Just got one check for your pizza party. Okay. Thank you very much for participating.
Esther, how about this here?
Oh, yeah.
Good afternoon, my name is Victoria Garcia, and I'm a sixth grader from Hilltop Gallery of Excellence. I want to thank Nogales Unified School District to invite us to participate on the College of Spirit Contest.
Good job. Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
But display of the three winners is awesome. You know what we're talking about, okay?
Congratulations. Congratulations, guys. You guys did a great job. You know what? I think we should get a check from them for a pizza party or something, huh?
Something.
Yeah.
City sellers.
Yeah, city salads. Yeah. We're all gonna die. All right, letter C, regarding hands-free organization. Members of the City Council, I invited Brendan Lyons to give us a little presentation and reference. He's been very active in the state of Arizona, and I think it's something that eventually the whole state, if they haven't done yet, they're very close to it, are going to be passing a law on hands-free. So, Brendan, will you please?
Can everybody hear me?
Is it on?
I don't think it's on, huh?
I don't think it's on.
No. They can.
It's not. Ours is on.
There it is. There it is.
Thank you. It's the mic.
It's the mic.
Mayor Garina and council members, thank you very much for having me. What you're going to hear this evening, is a bit of my presentation. I go around the state. I often speak to high school students, sharing my story. Often sharing my story also with council members and county supervisors. My name is Brendan Lyons, and I'm a non-paid advocate serving as the executive director of Look Save a Life, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. I also am passionate about school, and I'm currently a graduate student at the University of Arizona pursuing my master's in public administration through the School of Government and Public Policy. Check.
There it is.
It's down here.
Through the School of Government and Public Policy. Distractions are real. Every day, distracted driving kills, and families are left to bear the burdens of these preventable losses. Distracted driving is defined as anything that takes your eyes off the road, your hands off the wheel, and your mind off the task of driving. Humans cannot operate a motor vehicle without risking public safety while utilizing a cell phone behind the wheel. Sadly, I'm a former firefighter as well. And as a firefighter, I've seen firsthand not only to those who've fallen victims, but to the families left behind to pick up the pieces. According to my own crash report, on October 4th, 2013, a motorist traveling at 45 miles an hour struck me from behind as I was riding in a dedicated bike lane on the northeast side of Tucson, Arizona. I sustained numerous spinal and pelvis fractures, was treated to a traumatic brain injury, and forced to a lengthy hospital recovery, not to mention losing my dream career as a firefighter. I went through months of doctor's appointments with seemingly endless cognitive, physical, occupational, and vocational rehabilitation. I often had to use a wheelchair to get around and couldn't drive for up to 6 months due to my diagnosed traumatic brain injury. I was informed that bystanders had stopped instantly to render aid. One passerby who arrived just seconds after the crash stated, "We stopped. There was a lady picking up stuff off the road. We helped clean the road so that traffic could pass. Your bike was scattered a good 30 feet down the street. I'm pretty sure that the radiator was leaking. I picked up plastic from the car's front end off the road. Not sure if it was the lower front bumper or underneath up in the fender well, but the vehicle had sustained a lot of damage. A lot of damage because it had struck me at 45 miles per hour. There was a woman helping your girlfriend and a man with you. I stood over you for a couple minutes, although not trained in first aid. Didn't know what else I could do. We heard sirens approaching. We knew that we were in the way, and we went ahead and left." You see, the sirens heard screaming to my aid were in fact my very brothers and sisters from the fire department that I was employed with. I was told at first they didn't even recognize me, but at a brief moment loading me in the back of the ambulance, they were stunned, realizing that they were treating one of their own. They packaged both of us, my girlfriend and I, in full protective spinal precautions, immobilizing us to long backboards. 2 fire apparatus had to be taken out of service so that additional manpower could be utilized on the ambulance due to the severity of our injuries. They expedited and transported us separately to Southern Arizona's Level 1 trauma facility at Banner University Medical Center. What I do remember did not occur until days later. I remember awakening in a hospital bed in excruciating pain. I remember a team of doctors, nurses, and therapists set me up for the very first time. I remember a cornucopia of wires, tubes, electrodes, and multiple IV lines extending from my body. And I can recall screaming from the piercing pain that must have echoed throughout the hospital walls. You see, it's a really strange thing being physically fit to perform your duties as a firefighter, then wake up the next day vulnerable in a hospital bed, unable to perform simple tasks such as walking or going to the bathroom on your own. With my shattered bicycle frame, staged here as a centerpiece of safety and awareness, I hope that my story resonates with each and every one of you about the life-changing consequences of distracted driving and how a moment's distraction can be a lifetime of regret. You see, I'm lucky to be standing before you as a survivor. And as a survivor, I have a level of responsibility to utilize my voice for those who no longer have one. Here are some numbers. 26. 26 jurisdictions in the state of Arizona have adopted ordinances to regulate distracted driving. 23 of those jurisdictions are hands-free. 3 more are simple texting bans that are unenforceable. To further underscore this significant growing trend, of these 26 ordinances, 15 of them have been adopted since the start of 2018. 15 jurisdictions have adopted ordinances since the start of 2018. That'll show you a growing trend. I could talk about the statistics and the number of crashes and the fatalities that are on the rise right here in Arizona, but this isn't about numbers. This is about lives. Such lives as Salt River police officer recently killed Clayton Townsend, who I'm wearing his pin today that says "Heads up, phones down." And Mayor, I'll give it to you as a token of inviting me here.
Thank you.
DPS officer Timothy Hoffman, where over here you see his patrol vehicle left of my bicycle. He was on scene, this was 3 months before my incident. He was on scene of a motor vehicle crash 40 miles outside of Yuma when a motorist in that semi-truck and commercial vehicle was looking at Facebook at inappropriate content while Officer Huffman was on scene of another vehicle crash with his lights flashing, and he plowed into the back of him, killing him instantly. Also, former Phoenix firefighter Thomas Hall, Barbara Applebaum, Megan Lee, Daniel Wilson, Robert Lucky, Frank Forsetto, Rob Dollar, Jennifer Hines, John Knorr, Timothy Breslin, Sean Doss, Humberto Noah, Kathy Cook, Michael Allison, Manuel Patton, and Linda Doyle. These are all names that I just read who lost their lives due to something that was completely preventable. I implore you not only to consider passing an ordinance, but by doing a unanimous decision, you will be sending a loud message to our state legislature that local jurisdictions are now being forced to act because of its failure to do so. Arizona is one of the last 3 states in the nation that have failed to adopt any sort of distracted driving law for all motorists. Currently, we have an unenforceable law as a secondary offense for teenagers. The legislature is saying that it's okay to text and drive unless you're a teenager. Together, we will drive down distracted driving. My name is Brendan Lyons. I thank you, and I'll stay up for any questions. Before you will also see that several different documents. I believe the first 2 pages, you will see a myriad of 26 jurisdictions charted out with what their ordinances are and what kind of penalties and so forth. The vast majority, as I said earlier, 23 of them are hands-free. Further in your packet, you will see a document presented by the House of Representatives of Georgia, a compelling argument as to why hands-free saves lives. And of the states, on average, that have adopted this, on average, they have seen a 16% reduction in traffic crashes and fatalities. That is a huge number when each year Arizona is continuing to rise. For that, I'm open to any questions.
Can we ask questions?
Yes, go ahead.
So, the state legislature is, I don't know if they're going to pass it as a statewide ban. You suggest we wait and see what the state legislature does, and then if they do, then we don't have to worry about it, and if they don't, then we can create our own ordinance.
So that's a terrific question. I've been working on trying to pass a statewide law since 2013. The most recent jurisdiction to pass this was Florence, maybe about a month and a half ago. They didn't want to wait for the state to act. If the state passes this, then they know they contributed to that. And so at the end of the day, once this state law, and secondly, the current language that's written, if the current bill gets adopted as a state law, it doesn't go into effect until January 1st, 2021. And so upon approval, jurisdictions are allowed to buy into that and start issuing warnings, but they can't issue citations. Now, the benefit of mayor and council adopting this as soon as possible. If you decide to bring in an emergency clause and maybe start citing immediately and doing a big education push with your local media, then you're able to cite up until then or utilize your discretion as an educational period or what have you. But it allows you to take action amongst your own body. So,
well, it's something for us to have as an agenda item so that
Yes.
we can, because I'm all in favor of doing the ordinance.
and I can assure you that this is more often than not. But by show of hands, how many of you, whether you can vote or not vote, by show of hands, how many of you would be in support of an ordinance on hands-free while driving? I mean, it's pretty telling. Every jurisdiction that I've been to, it's been widely supported, and it's not something that. And I can talk about the pros and cons and what some of the cons have been. It's some Republicans believe that this is government overreach, but I believe that when the negligence of a motorist impacts the lives of everyone on our public roads, that's where government needs to step in. And once again, because of the state's failure to act, we now have 26 jurisdictions throughout the state that have adopted this. And then on the liberal side, and I'll just be completely transparent because you are a bordering town of Mexico, some concerns have been that this opens the door for racial profiling. Now, with that, if law enforcement wanted to racially profile, they could. There's a stack of ARS statutes that do so. And every jurisdiction that I've been to, the police chief vehemently stands up and says he or she does not tolerate that and takes it very seriously, and those are one-off chances. At the end of the day, this is about public safety.
You know, Brendan, when I first talked to you on the phone, you know, and we had that lengthy conversation, you know, your first thought is, you know, somebody trying to impose something, you know, because that's the way, you know, you feel when you're on the phone. But your conversation was good, and your information on the phone was good. That's why I invited you to be here with us, so that you could do the presentation for the citizens of Nogales and the members of the city council. But you know, I never thought you were going to bring some props, and that is very, very important. You know, especially the bicycle. You know, and you telling me the information about you being a firefighter and being involved in the accident, and you know, that was very strong. You know, and I'm proud. I'm proud that you're doing this because I think it's very important, and I think every city in the state of Arizona should take this and pass the ordinance, and not wait for the state to do it. You know, because sometimes it's municipalities that make the change for the states to, you know, really pass these bills. So that's the way I feel. You know, I can't speak for the members of the city council, but like Councilman Barona said, you know, it's something that we should bring up for us to discuss this matter, and maybe we should be doing that ourselves.
Any other questions while here?
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Lyons. Within the places that have approved this, what's the handling of, you know, the phones? You know, we all depend on it. You know, I know it says hands-free. Not all vehicles have hands-free. You know, there's maybe some people in the audience that don't have the Bluetooth in their cars and stuff like that. How are they handling
Mayor, Vice Mayor,
like that?
That's a terrific question. So, at the end of the day, some policymakers think, well, now we're imposing drivers. We mandate that they have some Bluetooth device in their car, or they have some attachment affixed to their vehicle. What you're telling drivers, the single most important message that you're telling drivers is, while you're in the act of driving, you should be driving. Take that phone out of your hand. You should be driving. Now, yes, as hands-free, if you have Bluetooth capabilities, you can do just Siri, call my mom, and it does it automatically, and your focus is on the road. Now, I will also say that there's 3 distractions while using your phone while driving. There's the visual distraction, taking your eyes off the road. There's the physical distraction, taking your hands off the wheel. But yes, there's the 3rd distraction, in which that is cognitive. And so even while using a Bluetooth device, you are still distracted. Nobody's saying hands-free is risk-free. by utilizing Bluetooth. However, what hands-free does do is mitigates 2 of those 3 distractions, and the biggest one is taking your eyes off the road.
You know, the best way, the way I look at it, Vice Mayor, if you really have to have a long conversation, I know you live on the phone because of produce. He's in produce, so you know he sells tomatoes and stuff on the phone while he's driving, and he's thinking of a salad, you know. But the best thing to do, the way I look at it, stop the car. Stop the car, get in the first parking lot, and then use the phone, finish your conversation, and get back on the road. And then you'll never get home, huh? No, but I mean, that's the best way to do it. Have you driven in California lately?
Yes.
You use the phone in California?
Yes, with the Bluetooth.
Okay.
With the hands-free.
Well, in California, they have signs that say you're going to get cited and it's going to be $150. That's the start. You know, so.
And with that, whether the state adopts this or not, I do encourage that to help educate your local residents is by creating signage around town.
Yes.
That allows you to do that and say Nogales is hands-free community, and you know that's
especially at, you know, crossing the border where
yes.
you know, identifying to our visitors, you know, both in English and Spanish.
Another concern too is that this is a money-making revenue thing for either law enforcement or the municipality. At the end of the day, and some jurisdictions have adopted to say, hey, you know what, let's do a 30-day educational period, let's blast it out in media and educate people. Once that grace period is done, then we gave them a fair warning. We broadcasted it out, we told them, and what some law enforcement have done is, and I can get you the literature, but they've created brochures that if they pull somebody over, and whether it's in a warning capacity or in a citation capacity, they offer them this and says, this is why I pulled you over for this. At the end of the day, it's not about this $150 fine, it's about saving lives, and I don't want you to hit somebody.
Councilman?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to make a statement that in a former administration, it was brought to the mayor and the council, and they just sat on it. No, it wasn't brought back. What I suggest, Mayor, is what we were talking about today. Let's act on it. Let's bring it for the next meeting and move on it.
Yes, sir.
And get it done.
Those were my plans to bring it to you for the next meeting.
Thank you,
That's
Mayor.
why I needed.
Great idea.
Yeah, thank you. That's why I needed Brendan to come by, because actually when we talked on the phone, my first thought is to put it on the agenda, and I said, no, I'd rather have Brendan explain it to you, because I think that's the best way to do it. It's kind of like when we have study sessions. We talk about something and then we make a decision to bring it back to order. But, you know, if anybody else, any member of the city council have anything to say?
Warning, kids.
I will say very respectfully, teenagers often get the bad reps, and unfortunately, it's everybody who does this. I mean, yes, also teenagers get the bad reps because, well, that's why insurance premiums are higher, because maybe you're more risk adverse or prone, but hopefully those of you sitting here and hearing my story, I've had people down in southern Arizona come up to me and say, or Tucson, say that northern Arizona from here.
It's not northern Arizona, it's still southern.
All right, I appreciate that. So, thank you. I've had people come up and say, because of your presentation, I no longer text and drive. I was guilty of it, and so if just one person out of here, it made an impact, then I thank you very much.
Then, did you do the same presentation in Tucson, Brendan?
I do.
Yeah. And did Tucson pass it?
Every jurisdiction that I've been to has passed it. There has not been one vote from the local level or even a committee meeting at the state level that has failed to adopt this. The reason that the state has failed to adopt it is usually because of a couple individuals in power who don't allow it to be brought forward. And so therefore it gets sat on. It's never failed because of a vote.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Lyons, do you do presentations to schools?
I go to schools around the state. I do ask that there's a, you know, I can talk to you about this more, but a donation goes in part to Look Save a Life Foundation, but I'm happy to. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about saving lives, and I volunteer my time to come up here. I'm not being compensated by my board. I'm a volunteer at 100%, and so it just, in order to keep the board running and the organization running. And that funds go actually out into education pamphlets and brochures. So when we go to schools, I have materials to pass out.
Thank you. Councilman Jeff.
Mr. Lyons, just so that you know that you still have time to make a good decision though too, and I would recommend the W.P. Carey School of Business at Arizona State University to continue your education.
Bear down.
That's all, Mayor.
Put that punchline.
Okay.
What's that? Yes. Yes. And then thank you very much, my friend. That was a great presentation. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Make a good decision.
Yes.
Mayor, Coach Hernandez said that her students, Coach Hernandez, your students need to go study? They need to go
Yes.
study.
We're going to take, can we take a 5-minute recess? Yes. Just 5 minutes? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Thank you.
Carolyn. Oscar.
Letty, we're ready? Come back. Ready? We reconvene the council meeting, and we're gonna go on D, update on WIFA loan. Michael Vasquez? Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. It's good to be here, as always. Thank you for having me. The staff has asked me to provide an informational, which is going to be a review of the 2016 Wastewater Capital Improvement Plan, and then also on WIFA, or the Arizona Water Infrastructure Finance Authority, which would likely be the financing vehicle for any financing you did on that CIP. In February 2016, Will Dan, or theeconomist.com, and the person is Dan Jackson. Yes. Dan Jackson provided a CIP review for the city's water and wastewater plan. Now, this whole page in its entirety, with the exception of the last line, yes, ma'am? Okay. Yes. This entire page, with the exception of the last bullet point, is almost verbatim from that study. I just wanted to, these are their words, and I just wanted to take the highlights, which I thought were most relevant for this discussion. So, a capital improvement plan represents the funds the city needs in a utility in order to maintain an acceptable quality of service, and therefore it is a critical component of the water, wastewater utility operations. If the city does not make a CIP investment, then it risks potentially lowering the quality of service, broken lines, ADEQ penalties, etc., and potentially incurring higher expenditures when repairs are made. And this is pretty common sense. In general, the more utility decides to spend on its capital improvements, then clearly the higher it's gonna, have to charge its ratepayers. The ultimate level of capital improvement plan funding is a decision that must balance two main items: operations and economics. Operations, what expenditures are necessary to maintain an acceptable level of service, and economics, what will be the willingness, ability of ratepayers to fund the capital improvements. Okay. The last line, I just want to bring this to your attention now, and we'll get into the details on the last page, but a salient assumption for the Wildan CIP is that the city finances all these projects through WIFA and not the bond market. In this 2016 CIP, these were the water projects that were listed for financing. Clearly, from 2016, construction prices may have changed, either positive or negative. Also, maybe some of these projects might be a higher priority or a less priority than they were in 2016. So clearly, we would have to revisit these line items, and that would also, potentially change this amount, higher or lower. Yes, sir.
I'm confused, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Just on this list here of capital improvement plan in 2016. So the mayor and council agreed to that, but nothing has been done?
I believe that none of these individual projects have been financed.
Okay, now, Dr. Felix, is this what you've been talking about to us, that we need the money to complete our obligations to do this based on the increase in the water sewer rates? Is that correct? Okay, I thought it was different. Okay, now I'm straight in. Okay, thank you.
On the following page are the wastewater projects that were listed for this project, and I would repeat the same thing. Maybe priority has changed, maybe amounts have changed, and the list would need to be revisited, but I wanted to put it in front of you so that you could see the line items.
Excuse me, have any of these been, I think some of these items have been, or John? Have been addressed?
The first list that he showed you on the water project, there's a handful on there that have already been completed.
Right, yeah.
And on the second list?
How big of a hand?
Yeah.
Like this?
I'd have to go and look at it with Calvin.
Okay.
If you want.
What's his?
If you want, I can go through them and look at it.
No, that's all right.
Okay, a few of them have been done out.
Okay, Dr. Felix. you know.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Here again. We have a staff. We hire an outside person to help us with the financing. Please, don't waste our time. If you're gonna put up something up there that shouldn't be up there, don't put it up there. That's your responsibility to provide us with accurate information, not to show us something that is inaccurate for us to make a decision. You're responsible for that, to get together on presentations. And the second one, the slide before that, is there any of those that have been done?
On the sewer.
Big McNabb.
No.
I think McNabb's.
McNabb?
No.
No, McNabb hasn't been done.
No.
So all of those are, okay. But please work together so we can have these presentations and get accurate information.
How about the King Springs treatment plant?
No, the Keno Springs treatment plant, has it been done?
No.
No.
Did they repair that?
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, here again from the 2016 CIP was an anticipated annual funding for the CIP. And so in 2016, approximately $1 million was to be issued. 2017, $1.75 million. 2018, you know, let's call it above $4 million. Those amounts have not been issued. But again, I just wanted to share with you what the plan had, and this was a highlight from the plan. One last item from the plan was where comparisons were in 2016 for other cities and towns in Arizona. And per this study, Nogales was one of the lower cities with, you know, rates. Okay, WIFA. WIFA is an independent state agency, and in effect, it's a bond bank. And so here is generally what they do. If they were to hypothetically anticipate $100 million in loans next year, they would go issue under their credit a higher rated credit, a AAA credit, so they get lower rates, and they would issue, let's say, $100 million in bonds, which they would then hold in, let's call it a savings account. Then next year, as these loans start to be drawn with, let's say, City of Nogales, Douglas, Tucson, whatever it is, then they draw from that pool, and that's how the funding is made. So WIFA is responsible to the bondholders for the amount they borrow, and then let's say the City of Nogales would be responsible to repay that loan back to WIFA, so then WIFA could pay the bondholders back. WIFA's principal tools for providing low-interest financial assistance include the Clean Water Revolving Fund for publicly held wastewater treatment projects and the Drinking Water Revolving Fund for both publicly and privately held drinking water systems, and we would be accessing those systems if we went through WIFA. Pros and cons of using WIFA. Pros, generally, financing rates offered by WIFA are meaningfully lower than the city could achieve in the bond market. What does that mean without getting too much into the details? For an assumed $12 million loan, the difference between going to the bond market versus WIFA is, let's call it a $750,000 to $1 million difference in financing costs. So WIFA would generally be cheaper. Also, WIFA bond loan covenants are less restrictive. Let's talk about that for a moment. So let's say that the city, for whatever reason, chose to go to the bond market. When we were talking about a refunding in my last meeting with council, we were talking about coverage, and the way coverage is calculated is revenues divided by debt service coverage. And so WIFA in this study was at let's say a 1.1 or 1.2 coverage, and if we went into the bond market, we'd have to be substantially higher than that, maybe 1.5 to 1.75 times to get a decent rate. So clearly that would have a huge impact on this whole study, and the city would have to charge more to the ratepayers to create more revenues, to create a higher coverage. So again, this is one of the I guess, a few reasons why WIFA would be a better financing option for the city. Lastly, lower cost of issuance, so there's less bond professionals involved in this, and therefore the city would have to pay less. Some of the potential cons are, well, you know, how long is WIFA going to be in existence? I mean, could it go away next year? Highly, highly unlikely. It's expected to be around because it's such a wonderful tool for, you know, cities like Nogales, and it's really needed. So we expect it to be around for a while. A downside is. A downside is, whereas in the bond market you can refund or refinance for savings, typically with WIFA you cannot. So if you do a 20-year loan, you're generally in it for 20 years. Last thing is a longer financing time frame. So let's say we were to go to the bond market today and just do a regular bond deal. We could, or if we started today, we could potentially have monies or get funding within 2 months, whereas with WIFA it's going to take a little bit longer. We'll get to that right now. So if the council was to decide to move forward with this, let's say that they were to have a meeting before the June 28th WIFA board meeting, where we would submit our application package. If we did that, if we were to make that June 28th, the city could have funding in a 3 to 5 month period after that. So again, it's a little bit longer than a bond process, but I believe worth it. That's pretty much it for the presentation. I'm sure there are questions.
So, Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Do we have outstanding WIFA loans right now?
You do.
How much is it?
In the $1 million range, $2 million range.
2 million? Okay. So, if we decide, I just want to make, if we decide to do this, because I don't know what the amount is, where they had $12 million there on the water capital improvements. It says 12 million. I don't know if that's 9 million or 8 million or 7 million. And on the wastewater treatment, I could assume that's accurate, of 8.6 million. So you're saying that we should look at both of these to do both of these together, but would this mean that we would have to have an increase to qualify for this repayment to show that we have the ability to repay? Do we have to demonstrate anything with our rates, or do we have to increase our rates again?
I think that's going to depend on exactly, you know, what it is that you finance. I mean, so
well, let's just say we finance. Right now it's 20 million, but let's just say 12 and 8 right now. It's 20 million. Let's just say we want to do 20 million. What would be your opinion?
I think that I would like to get into the numbers and kind of remodel this, because I'm going to have to remodel the 2016 CIP as we didn't kind of adhere to some of the funding.
Well, Mayor, there's no one. Let them remodel and then come and make a presentation, so that we can ask questions that are relevant to today.
Well, let me ask you another question. This is for you, Mr. Felix. Okay, so we decide to do some of these infrastructure projects, water. Did you take in the area about paving, or is that the cost also?
There, we haven't factored for that yet, but we'll prioritize the projects in terms of urgency, and then sit down with Mike.
Because the minute you tear the road up, then you have to pave the road, and once you know, there goes another $1 million. Right. Okay, so we have to understand. Once they tear the road, then we have to pave it. And we have enough areas in Nogales right now that our water department has been working on, because they've had ruptures in lines, and they haven't been able to pave those areas. It's very small jobs. Right. We're talking big jobs, like McNabb alone. You're talking about $1 million in paving alone.
But we have a grant to finish.
Well, that's the CDBG money.
Right, but are we going to finish the whole thing there?
Yes, we just, we'll do it, start next month.
McNabb's coming off that list, both water and sewer.
Okay.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. We got the funding for that.
Okay, sewer too? Sewer too?
I believe we did sewer already.
How about-
in the past we did. We had already done sewer.
Okay, all right, so we're just waiting on CDBG money for the paving.
Correct.
And when are you going out to bid on that?
This Friday will be advertised for Perkins and
Perkins and McNabb both? Good, all right.
Yeah, but this,
Yes, go ahead, Councilman.
Does that include Bankert? We got Bankert here for paving, and Bankert's up here again for
sewer.
For sewer.
yeah, Banker is CMAQ project at the end of Banker north of Law Street.
Ahí está, mira.
But the sewer portion that you mentioned there is the south
Let
of
the
Law-
people hear what you're saying.
south of Law Street, where we paved recently 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
Because right there on Banker, there are 3 water mains and I guess 2 sewer mains in that short block. So
So for Bankert, it's not actually Banker Street. It's going further straight. It's further north.
the paving is just north of Law Street.
No, is that costing the city any money, or is this strictly an Arizona
That's a
Department
dust
of-
abatement program, the dust abatement.
The matching will be 17,000 for the total, 4,000 for design and 12,000, about 13,000 for the construction.
That'll be order D coming up on that.
Yeah, but we're not gonna
understand
do
that.
it north of Bankert until we know about these projects, right?
Well, North Bunker is just to dust abatement project because there is
There's no sewer line or water lines there?
no sewer lines or water lines involved in that.
So would they have septic there, or what?
No, they have sewer, but the sewer and water in that area is okay. So that just that portion.
Can I make a recommendation, Mr. Felix? Like Councilman Varona said, when you come back, a presentation of this, can you break it down?
We will combine.
Yeah, could you break it down and say, okay, it's going to cost us, I'll give you an example, Loma Street, $171,000 just for wastewater. Then what is it going to cost us to do the paving? Because once wastewater is in the middle of the street, the manholes, we have to pave the whole street. So could you break that down so we can get an idea of where we're going with this? And maybe give us a time? If they do the sewer line, it could take a month, and then what, another 3 weeks, a month to do it, and then when is it? The end of this year, next year, you know? Could you break that down for us, John?
We'll definitely do that. And so the purpose of this update today, was what we anticipate would have been just a quick update, was to let council know that we're exploring funding
Yes,
through WIFA,
yes.
not through bonds. And just to bring you up to speed, and the reason why staff believes that we should go out and look at WIFA first and get your buy-in on that, and then we're going to go back, if we got your buy-in, and redo all this and bring you back the plan on how we're going to fund that, and then do the paving too, and where the potential funding is.
When you give us updates, please give us accurate updates.
Yeah, I apologize for that, but that's the 216 Wildan. We should have just updated that.
Okay.
Well,
Is that the end of your presentation? Or
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else, Councilman?
no, the only thing is I want to see if we're going to do both of these projects, and these are good infrastructure projects for our community. They're excellent infrastructure projects, which the community supports, but I have to balance to see, are we going to have to raise our rates and study? Maybe we can only grab a portion of it, get certain streets where there's a combination of sewer and water lines on one street and do those. But we need to do these kind of projects because our infrastructure is aging. Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, staff.
Thank you, sir.
Item number 6, discussion items. A, discussion and possible action, department directors' job descriptions and minimum qualifications. This is Councilman Barona's
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, and I just returned with Councilman Rojas from a conference in Philadelphia, and some of the things that I've been thinking about as I've been listening to the news and going around. First of all, I want to preface my comments to the mayor and council that I am a big supporter of bachelor degrees for all of our department heads, okay? But at this time, I want to make sure we are not involved in the hiring process. But I want to give the opportunity to Dr. Felix to give him to pass his professional judgment from a greater pool of applicants. I learned this past weekend that from presentations that there's right now, today, 1.2 million jobs open that cannot be filled. I also learned that the country's birth date for the first time is on a decline, which will make that 1.2 million grow within the next 10 to 15 years. I also learned from a session with Google that 50% of the employees of Google do not have bachelor's degrees. And they're asking the high school, because they have so many openings, to start preparing the students at the high school level so that with certain characteristics so that they could go get out of high school and go directly to work for Google as one of the big companies that are hiring. I also know that we need to have a bigger pool for Dr. Felix to make a wide range of experience besides having people apply that have the bachelor's degree that are retired and are coming to us from out of town. When I feel that within the employees that we have here, we have a lot of qualified employees. So what I'm suggesting, even though I ask for the support of the mayor and the council, is that it has to go through a three-pronged process here. This is just a recommendation to Dr. Felix to consider this recommendation. Then it has to go to the HR director. She has to approve it, and then it has to go to Mr. Para, and he has to approve it. Then it goes into the personnel manual at that time when these three people approve it as the guidelines that has been approved by the mayor and council. Then they can include it in advertisement for a job description. And my suggestion is to go ahead and keep the bachelor's degree for department heads, but also include anybody, if you don't have a bachelor's degree and the years of experience, that you have also for consideration 25 years of progressive leadership experience and education within that time that they have to document that they've had through their leadership roles for that. So that's what I'm recommending, Mayor, that we still have the bachelor's degree, but authorized for department heads to also have 25 years is a lot of experience, okay? A lot of experience. And if they can justify that to the decision-making process for Dr. Felix, well, just let him consider it. It's not our decision. The people gave, through city manager, form of government, gave that decision to the city manager. I'm just saying, open up the applicant pool for him to consider. And that's what, with that, Mayor, and I don't know if you want me to make a motion, then have a discussion.
Let's have a little bit of discussion. You know, I understand what you're talking about, the 25 years. But the part I don't understand, okay, so if you have a firefighter and you have a police officer, and he stayed as a firefighter and the other one stayed as a patrolman for 25 years, you tell me that they can be chiefs?
No, but the word is 25 years of progressive leadership experience. They have to show that I became a sergeant, I became a lieutenant, I'm the deputy city fire chief, I'm the deputy police chief. You have to show progression within those 25 years. There's nothing wrong with being a police officer or firefighter or just for 25 years, but that's not going to, I don't think it'll get you too far on the applicant review process. You have to show to Dr. Felix that there's a progression of growth where they demonstrate education and leadership.
Because previous applications, and I have one here, it used to say, and it was removed, it used to say, any equivalent combination of education and experience as set forth above. And so you would have, you know, this is an example, this application is 6 years of experience in that area, and it also it says graduate and accredited college in, you know, bachelor's degree. It does have, but since this, and it was passed, I guess, under Mr. Gillies when he was city manager, something like that, they removed any equivalent combination of education and experience set. So I think if that is put back in there, that can get you, without saying 25 years or 20 years or specifically the amount of years, you know, because if you have the experience and the combination of education, you could and probably you know, qualify for the job, you know, because that would get, that doesn't mean that you have to be within the department. You can get somebody from the outside, right? That could probably fit that category. Yeah. That could, you know. But I mean, that's, you know, I know where you're coming from, because when I got hired as Public Works Director, that was on there. That's the reason I got it, because I only have, you know, I have 70 credits. You know, I don't have a bachelor's. 70 college credits, yes. But I had 25 years experience in the construction field and all that, which helped me get that position. But what I'm saying is, that's all you have to do is maybe put that back into the application process, and that would help. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mayor, why was it taken off?
I don't know. It's no longer there. It doesn't exist.
Dr. Pettis, you know?
No, I don't. It was done before I got here.
Yes.
Do you know, Carmen?
No, it was Mr. Gilly.
Oh, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah.
Like what you said. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I understand that. I got that. It was with Mr. Dilly. But my question is, why was it taken off? I think we should know why it was taken off.
I think it was probably taken off because he wanted to concentrate on the bachelor's alone. And
so that's the reason.
Mr. Dilly didn't yeah, he didn't want to go equivalent or education or combination of or anything.
You had a bachelor's degree or
yeah, because if you didn't have a bachelor's but you had a lot of experience, you know, you weren't going to make it. You needed that bachelor's. So that was scratched off.
So
this is an old application.
So then what was the impact?
Well, it limited the amount of applicants that you have. But what I want to say, Mayor...
And that's your concern?
Yes, that's my concern. I want to expand the pool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, it's up to him. If Dr. Felix says, I'm reviewing this guy's, he's got a bachelor's degree, he's a lieutenant, that's fine. That's his decision. But I want to expand the pool to make sure that we have more of a selection to get somebody here.
With all the proper certifications and so forth.
That's all. Now, if the 25 years doesn't make a difference, but I'm interested in expanding the pool of applicants for the selection process.
I think
if we put that back in there, would that meet my concern?
Mayor, Councilman Barona, most employers in the employment sector have that language because of the pool and lack of applicants, and so they have.
But we don't have that anymore in our applications.
Right.
They're not in there.
Well,
this is an old application I got.
Well, I would concur, Mayor. You know, I want to increase the pool.
I think if we brought this back, Councilman Barona and Councilman Rojas, that would give opportunities to you know, at least to allow the city manager to make that wise decision. You know, because you know, like you said, you know, you can have 25 years, you know, but you know, I myself. 25 years is a long time. I know it's a lot of experience, but if you did not make an effort in 25 years being in the police department to even attempt to be a sergeant, then you do not belong as a chief of police.
I concur.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's gotta be, and that's why it says an equivalent combination of education and experience.
Okay.
As set forth above.
I would concur with that, and I would like to put those words, Mayor, repeat those, back into the application process to go through the steps, and that would be my motion.
And I'll second that.
Thank you very much.
Discussion.
Anyone, any questions? No? Do you do? Vice Mayor?
No, I'm fine.
You
I'm
got
fine.
that
I
look,
agree,
huh?
no.
Okay.
Was
Basically, you
this
know,
just,
but it's,
is this an action
it's a
item?
discussion.
Yes, it is.
It's an action
Possible
item.
action.
Discussion and possible action, we're not gonna violate that.
Yes. We're not gonna do that.
We're not gonna do it.
Okay, so,
You worded
so,
it right.
so, do you, Para, do you need for me to read this?
The motion?
The motion and read this, or can the city manager just follow up on the?
There's a motion, I believe,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, from Councilman Barona and seconded by Councilman Rojas.
Yes.
And my understanding of the motion is just an exact reading of what
the
what's,
discussion,
under-
possible action.
under the discussion items.
It's a
Please correct me if I'm
recommendation
wrong.
to the city manager.
Yes.
So
And we
can,
would like to see that as included in all the job descriptions for directors.
now there's a difference between a recommendation and a directive, Councilman Barona. So is your motion a directive to the city
I would say
manager,
so.
or is it a recommendation to the city manager?
Well, now that you bring that issue up, I would say to offer clarification, it's a directive.
Director.
So your motion is, I move to direct the city manager to review department directors' job descriptions and minimum qualifications, and exercise discretion with regards to the years of experience and whether those years of experience should be progressive leadership in lieu of a bachelor's degree.
Correct.
Is that your motion,
Yes, sir.
Councilman? Madam Clerk, did you catch that motion?
In all those words, Mr. Parra, did you just say an equivalent combination of education and experience as set forth? Kind of?
I think that's what it is.
I believe so, Mr.
Okay,
Mayor.
all right.
And
If it sounds like that, okay, if it's what you
I
said
think he
sounds
did,
like
Mayor.
this,
I would say
okay,
that.
all right, then. I think that's the motion, all right?
And I believe that was the motion
Councilman Rojas?
seconded
Yes.
by Councilman
Second.
Rojas.
Yes.
All right, then, and call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Councilman Barona. B, discussion possible action of screening committee for city attorney's recruitment. Okay, who's gonna do this one?
Mayor.
John? John, will you please,
So I handed out a time frame or a procedure for the city attorney screening committee, and I tried to incorporate what I heard from our last meeting into that document, and I was also able to reach out to all of you and get your names for your nomination to the screening committee. And I'm just bringing it for you for your review and your blessing so we can move forward as soon as possible. I've also attached a job announcement to it, and I believe I incorporated the concerns that I heard in the last meeting.
Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. I reviewed this, and I will finally say that they followed the directive of the mayor and council to the T this time. So we don't have to go back. It's well done. It's good to see that we're not wasting time. Well done. I would like to use I would just like to, if I may, Mayor.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I would like to just explain to the community that I am recommending to be high school senior to be on this committee. These are the people who are coming up. He's on the governor's youth council. He's president of the Future Business Leaders of America. He has a above a 4.0 GPA, very active, very studious individual, and I want to give those individuals an opportunity to participate in the system here, so that when they make decisions to do what they want to do, the importance, I want them to understand the importance of being involved in the community, to go out and seek as young people. This is how the process works. You're a part of it. Get involved and run for office, whatever, but get involved in the community. So I just wanted to mention.
Is he 18? Is he 18?
I don't think so. I think he's 17 and will be 18.
Okay. I have a comment. Well, my comment is, you know, Vice Mayor, I wish you wouldn't have picked an attorney. I wish you would have picked somebody from the community, because, you know, I didn't want to have attorneys, honestly, but I should have mentioned that from the get-go. Have attorneys part of the committee. I just wanted citizens of Nogales and residents of Nogales to be part of this selection process. But it still says up here draft. It can be changed if you want to. But I mean, if you really want to keep an attorney as part of the committee, that's up to you.
But Mayor,
Yes.
and I'll give you my backing. It is an attorney. He doesn't live in Nogales.
That's why another thing. He's no resident.
And I questioned it. Actually called and to see if somebody outside of Nogales, asked Mr. Kissinger, was it valid to give somebody outside? He was born and raised here in Nogales, actually a classmate of mine, and basically I know he's does his legal work. He does legal work here in Nogales and throughout the state. And being that we're looking for an attorney, I figured
but that would have been easy for me to say, you know what, let's select a panel of attorneys, kind of like what we did for the judge, to select our attorney. When we discussed it and Councilman Barona said that we wanted people from the community, and I understand he used to live in Nogales. He no longer lives in Nogales. He lives in Phoenix. But that's not my problem. My problem is him being an attorney, and I hope he leaves his attorney hat at home on the selection process, because I wanted to select somebody for the city of Nogales, and I hope he doesn't have any problems with any of the candidates that come up. As you know, attorneys have the tendency to have it out in courts. Okay, and I hope nobody else decides, somebody applies and says, oh, well, you have an attorney sitting there that I went against at court. That's why I didn't want that. I should have talked about that from the get-go. My mistake, but it's all right if that's your case. If you want to have an attorney. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, with all due respect to Councilman Vice Mayor Maldonado, and with respect to this process, this transparent process that you have underway, and as the current city attorney for the city of Nogales, in full disclosure, I have to say that this particular attorney, we are currently in litigation against, in a matter where this attorney is involved, and on that basis, and again, with all due respect to Councilman Maldonado's decision with respect to that individual, I would have to say, Councilman Maldonado, and respectfully request on behalf of the city attorney's office that you perhaps reconsider your selection. And again, I'm doing it on the basis of the fact that the city attorney's office is currently dealing with litigation that this council is aware of, as I have disclosed to the council in a previous session. And so, having said that, I would respectfully request a reconsideration of your selection, sir. Thank you.
I appreciate for letting me know. With that respect, Mr. Mayor, you guys give me a couple of days and I'll come up and give you another, and I withdraw Mr. Slack on my recommendation due to
Thank you very much,
I don't want to have any controversy with the city. That's my main point, being open, and I will have another selection.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yes. Yes, John.
Oh, so before you go on to the next item, it would be very helpful for staff if you guys could adopt this maybe with a motion, and we can take his name so we can move forward very quickly with the job announcement that's attached. I'm assuming you all read the job announcement.
Have you reached out to the chair, Dina Sanchez?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
And have you sat down with her?
No.
No?
Oh, well, yes, I have sat down with her, but I was waiting for your decision whether you're good with this, and if you're good with what we have,
I think we are.
So if I can get just, a motion.
Motion, Mayor, to accept the steps in the city attorney's recruitment process as presented.
And job announcement, sir?
Huh?
With the job announcement.
That's all in there.
Yes.
Everything's there.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Only thing-
Do I have a second? Second.
Mayor?
Yes.
Just, with the conditions that I will be replacing
Yes.
my...
Yes.
I understand.
Yes.
Thank you.
We have a second?
Second.
Let's go. Do you want, were you going to say something, Councilman Borges? No. No? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Number 7, orders. A, consideration possible action of order 2019-04-011. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Second. Discussion.
Mayor,
Yes, Councilman.
can somebody make a presentation on this, please?
Mr. Dillon?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. So what we have here, as some of you are aware, and hopefully all of you are aware at this point, we've been working very diligently with the owners and the attorney representing the cold storage Walter Home building across the street. I've spent since 2016 working with them on demolishing and abating this dangerous building. It was considered a dangerous building back then, but due to financial constraints of the ownership group, they were only able to do a partial demolition when the eastern portion of the building started to buckle and fall into Grand Avenue. That cost around $200,000 at the time that they did it, because it involved abatement and an emergency demolition. Since the city has gotten estimates on the property as well to see what the feasibility was to move forward on that demolition, the estimates have come in around between $40,000 and $50,000 for the hazardous materials abatement, and then an estimated $230,000 for the demolition of the structure and to fill it and basically create just a blank slate on that parcel. Since then, the owner's representative, the attorney, has reached out to me and requested that the city council consider waiving the fees for the property. They're not estimated to be over $300,000 in terms of basically the way that the fees are calculated is by evaluation of the demo permit, and so a highball figure would be $300,000, which would make the demolition fees come out to about $2,407 as I listed in my report. Mayor and Council has the discretionary authority to waive fees. It's customary and incidental in the case of a public benefit, and in this case, abating the dangerous building would be a public benefit. So just want to put that out there, and anything that we can do at this point to incentivize the property owners to take part in this very expensive and very meaningful abatement, I think is a benefit to the city.
Thank you. Councilman?
Dr. Felix, do you concur with that recommendation?
Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to, based on the recommendation of Dr. Felix and Mr. Dillon, to waive the demolition permit fees for this project as mentioned.
A second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying
Aye.
aye. Aye. Opposed? You guys have it. B, consideration possible action of order 2019-04-012.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Second. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
can there be a presentation, please?
Yes. Is there anybody here?
No, not from them.
Not from
from
this?
Mr. Dillon.
Dillon? Oh, you're going, all right, Mr. Dillon, don't move away.
Hello again. No, I just sat close. I had a feeling it was coming. So as you are aware, this is a request for a conditional use permit for Laidlaw Recycling Center. The zoning of the property is light industrial. It recently went to the Planning and Zoning Commission and was approved unanimously. It's met all statutory requirements. It was advertised in the newspaper. There was no opposition to the project. There had been some code compliance issues with a parcel that's located outside of the project scope. Since we had been working with the property owner and the applicant to abate all violations on that parcel, and the applicant also gave us a written statement saying that that parcel that the violations existed on would not be a part of the scope of this conditional use permit. So, and we made it very clear, staff has made it very clear, if there are any issues on the eastern parcel adjacent to Bafford Drive, if there's any staging or any kind of operations there on that parcel, that it would jeopardize their conditional use permit. So we're clear on that.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
This request has a strong recommendation to us by the Planning and Zoning Commission and Mr. Dillon, so I will support this.
And
I only
is
ask,
the, let's go ahead.
I only ask if the person who made the motion and second the motion, as a friendly amendment, if you would add as recommended by Mr. Dillon.
Okay. Mr. Dillon, is the facility equipped, or can it, does it have concrete floors, does it have, you know?
It's met all the criteria. Right,
everything.
yeah. There are a couple final issues that need to be met with respect to prior to issuance of permits, and the applicant intends on meeting those, and they're minor. It's undergone all the necessary reviews and inspections.
Reference to dust abatement and everything else?
Everything is good.
Okay.
Right, and so that's why we wanted to clarify. There's two parcels
Yeah.
that are associated with it, and so we wanted to clarify that the parcel in question that had experienced some of the code compliance issues was not a part of the scope of this permit. And the applicant, as I mentioned, has provided written statements saying that it won't be used for any kind of staging or use, and any kind of future use or staging or anything like that will be required to go through the exact same process and meet all the statutory requirements and get in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission and this body as well.
You know, I like the idea of this recycling, because I have talked to the applicant also because of the white goods, you know, white refrigerators, stoves, stuff like that. Something that we don't no longer pick up as a city, that can be taken there, or even they can even pick it up, I understand, possibly in the future. I think that would help us also, you know.
I think it meets the mission of this body to clean up the city.
Yes,
absolutely.
It does. Yes, great. Okay, having the motion, who made the motion?
I think I seconded it. Esther,
I think I seconded.
well, you seconded it, I made the motion.
Okay, so you make a motion with the recommendation of...
Yes.
Okay.
Did they add they both agreed to add based on the recommendation?
Yes. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, so there's a motion made by Councilman Hanesian, and there's a second by Councilwoman Lopez. And my understanding is that Councilwoman Barona put up a friendly modification to the motion, correct, Councilman Barona?
Yes, that's correct.
And it's been accepted by the maker of the motion, the second.
Yes.
So,
Thank
you,
okay.
Councilman.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. C, consideration possible action of order 2019-04-013.
So moved.
Second.
This is planning and zoning, three new candidates for the planning and zoning. Mr. Dillon had asked for, and he needed the people, so you got the people on there? Yes.
There's 3 vacancies there. I understand that, but this is coming to us in a form of an ordinance. Who is recommending these people?
I'm recommending 2, and Mr. Hanesian is recommending 1.
Okay, well, I'm glad that Mr. Henesian had the opportunity, Councilman Henesian.
Oh, Councilman. Well, I'm glad you called him Councilman Hanesian.
I just want to know, Mr. Felix, how come the rest of us didn't get an opportunity? White privilege?
Come on. No. It was actually, it was a very quick order. And that's the reason it was done.
So why didn't I get an opportunity, or how come we didn't get an opportunity to recommend? Why is it just?
Next time you are.
Well, there's not a rotation here. I want to know why we didn't get an opportunity. You didn't bring it
well,
up.
maybe I should have contacted you.
Well, no, but bring it up and not contact me, but you can open it up here so we can all have an input in this.
So Councilman, yeah, and you're absolutely right. So these are planning and zoning and board of adjustment and the various bodies of the city are appointments of the mayor's office. So typically the mayor's office chooses who those appointments are.
I didn't want to say that, but I mean,
where does it say? How about you bring that up? I'm glad because I had this problem with the previous mayor.
Right.
Show me where it says in the city charter that the mayor has this appointment right under his authority.
I'll look for it and I'll provide
because in the time that I was there, I've never seen it there.
Okay, I'll look for it and I'll provide you the
look for it
information.
because you're not going to find it.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
I'll look for it
Mayor,
too.
Councilman Hancia, Councilman Barona, you won't find it in the charter. You'll find it in the development code.
Yes.
In the development code.
That's correct.
It should be in Article 4.
Since when? I don't understand the development code. Does the development code supersede the authority given by the people of this community to the mayor and council? So can I make a development code that supersedes the city charter?
Yes.
No, you can't.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman
Go
Barona.
That's how we get into problems.
No, Councilman Barona, so we have a city charter. That's our
right.
constitution.
That governs us.
And our constitution, when it doesn't speak with respect to the appointment of planning and zoning commission members, we fall back to the City of Nogales Development Code. Chapter 4 of the City of Nogales Development Code speaks to the appointment process that Mr. Dillon just mentioned. So in that Chapter 4, that's where we will find this authority. We are currently revising our development code, and so this council can respectfully cue in with respect to that particular appointment process. But we are going through a revision of our development code. Perhaps you may want to take that up with Mr. Dillon in due course as we go through this revision. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
The appointments to these are a decision of the mayor and council. Before it was in our charter that the mayor had certain to recommend, but when he recommended, he was not allowed to vote. Now, if you are correct on that the mayor has that right, how did Councilman Henesian, where does it say on the development code that he has, and I don't?
Well, let me explain. No, I called Councilman Hanesian to see. No, wait a minute.
Now you're tag us.
No. Listen. I called him because see if he had anybody in mind. But look, having only three positions, I thought it over. I said, if I put it out to the city council, we're going to get 6 people. Each one of you are going to pick, and maybe one of you might pick an attorney. And then after that, Then after that, we're gonna go through a voting process to reduce it to 3. And it's gonna be hard to reduce it to 3 when there's 7 of us. So I should have called you. And I thought about it.
No, but call all of us.
Yeah.
We all want to be a part.
And it's my mistake. It's my mistake. But I mean, there's 3 very qualified people there that.
No, I don't agree. I don't have any disagreement with the people. My only disagreement is why aren't all of us getting the opportunity?
Marcy feels left out because he was in Philadelphia. So
Yeah.
he feels left out.
And 2 of them were in Philadelphia.
But I expressed this at the previous mayor.
I can understand.
Listen,
It won't happen again.
And the development code should not supersede our constitution.
And
Under no circumstances.
We're going to look into that.
Mr.
All right.
Mayor,
So having a motion.
Oh,
Yeah. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, just one thing real quick. So, also, and just to put this out there as well, we have a lot of business moving forward with respect to Planning and Zoning Commission. So it's very integral that we have a complete commission. And so I know that we've been trying to get this done for a while with the previous administration, and it just never seemed to be moving forward quickly. So I appreciate the fact that you guys are willing to staff this and the other city boards up so we can continue to move, because there's a lot of things on the horizon. So thank you very much.
Mr. Dillon, next time you bring that up to me for another board, I'll make sure I'll let the rest of the council know about that.
Sure thing.
All right.
All right.
We agree with the business and taking care of our business.
Sure.
But don't get caught in our discussions of us all being a part of the decision making.
No, that's
not for you to tell.
No, that's not what I'm trying to do at all. No.
Well, that's what you were trying to imply.
No, not at all. I appreciate you guys moving forward, though. Thank you.
I need a chocolate.
Yeah, give him a Snickers.
That's what you're trying to do.
Give him a Snickers. He said Snickers. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much, members of the City Council. D, consideration possible action of order 2019-04-014.
So move, Mayor.
Second that.
Okay, is there any discussion on this one?
We discussed it.
Yes.
Previously.
Yes, we did.
You know, and it's a good project. And
yes. Okay, I call for the question then. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Okay. E, consideration possible action of order 2019-04-015.
So move, Mayor.
Second.
Discussion.
Call for the question.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Mayor and Council's report on current events. Okay, I'll start with myself on this one. Okay, let me see. I got about 5 pages. You guys ready? I was busy this month. Okay, we're going to start with, I attended the SEGO meeting March 14th. And I was appointed treasurer for the SEGO meeting. It's ceremonial. I'm not going to be doing any numbers. If I do, I'll have to call Councilman Hanesian.
Yes.
To help me figure that out.
Got to invite Mr. Wadona, remember?
Yes, I'll call him too.
Before 8 o'clock.
Yes. And another thing, SEGO, we discussed the resolution on the concertina wire. And SEGO is in the process of supporting us on the next meeting on the resolution. Also, I had a visit from a group of students from Prescott North Point Academy. We had a panel discussion here in the council chambers. There was 30 students, and the students, we took them to the border. They saw everything at the border. They took pictures, and they had a great time here in Nogales. We had some gifts from my office for them. The city bumper sticker and other things, are You're Amongst Friends pin and everything they took with them. And we took them to eat at a food truck too. They paid for their own meal. Okay? Paricutin, yes. Because they wanted to eat taquitos, burros, and they wanted to see what the taste of Nogales was. So we went to Paricutin. All right. With that, I'm going to show you a video. And this video is it's a documentary, 7 minutes long. It was done, the Imperfect Union called me from Houston, Texas, that they wanted to do a documentary here in Nogales, and there was going to be a little debate, and it was a person for the wall and the person against the wall, which, Mr. Hanesian, we are not against the wall. I'm just letting Mr. Hanesian know that, because you know how he is.
So was it against the wall or against the concertina wire?
No, well, my issue was the concertina wire, but you know, they took it and they used it because it was going to be kind of like a debate. They put part of the debate in, but they really made a great video here in Nogales. So it's only 7 minutes long. I want you to see this before we continue. Could you do that, please?
I think it's immoral to let the drug packers come across my land. I think the only moral thing to do is to have a wall and secure our borders.
It's a wall that the president wants to build. It's a wall that Washington wants to build. If there's nobody there to apprehend these people, what good is the wall? It doesn't work.
My ranch is along the U.S.-Mexican border, and it's pretty outrageous that I have to pack guns all the time, have guns next to my bed. I love ranching, and it's my custom, my culture, and tradition. I'm a fifth-generation Arizona rancher. My ancestors drove cattle from Texas to Arizona in 1885.
Oh, Border Patrol.
Oh, we got a Border Patrol
Is
guy.
that normal to have a Border Patrol person right here?
It's sometimes normal.
Are you glad to see him out
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now I feel safe.
How far to the border now?
We're about 6 miles to the border. This is United States Forest Service land.
Okay. So this fence that we're walking up to, what is that?
This is a 4-strand barbed wire cattle fence. That is the international boundary. And it's easy to crawl through, over, or under. Come on this way, I'll show you. Mexico, United States, my ranch. I'm almost 80, and I can climb over it.
Who are you hoping that the wall would keep out?
Drug packers. This appears to be a corridor for packing drugs in the United States.
I see 3 figures up there. Who do you think they are?
They are cartel scouts, or they could be people just staging to come into the United States.
How do we know 100% that the people on top of that hill are drug cartel scouts?
We don't know 100%. But why are they always up there? They're looking into the United States. I've been saying this for 10 years, and I was so happy when Trump came down and said, we need a wall. We need to stop the druggers bringing drugs into the United States. This is a drug corridor. This is not a people corridor.
We're in Nogales, Arizona, on the Mexican border.
Yes.
And we're looking at a wall that you say has been here for about 3 years?
Yes. My name is Arturo Garino, and I'm the mayor of Nogales.
So hasn't this wall worked?
And no, it hasn't. They've jumped this wall before. It's about 18 to 20 feet high in some areas. As you can see, the concertina wire is the latest item that they attached to the wall, I guess, to prevent them from jumping. I've seen this evolve from a 8-foot chain link fence to what you see right now. Actually, we're standing right above one of the existing tunnels that exist here in Nogales.
Oh.
So that's why I say the wall doesn't work.
They did not.
Yes.
Tell me about where you used to play as a little boy, and what did the border look like then?
Well, back then it was a 5-strand barbed wire fence, and we lived 2 blocks just west of here. 2 blocks from the border. And we used to jump over cattle fences, and we were actually picking acorns in Mexico. This represents more like a prison type atmosphere. It's sad. It's sad because I've talked to people, you know, seniors that have lived all their life here in Nogales and were born here in Nogales. They have relatives across the line where they used to go shopping and they used to go, you know, party with them and stuff. This is not their Nogales anymore. It's changed. Jim, how you doing?
How are you?
Garino. Nice to meet you, sir.
I have 14 miles of exposure to the Mexican border,
Yes, sir.
and probably 200 trails coming through my ranch, which the cartel uses to smuggle drugs into the United States. And the Mexican border is, as you know, a 4-strand barbed wire fence.
Yes, sir.
We need to complete the fence, fill the gap, and secure the border.
I think, yes, a wall's probably going to be something that they're going to be installing. If that's the case.
So I've been praying for 10
but
years.
You know that terrain is kind of rough for a wall.
Yes.
Okay? There's very few access roads. I used to patrol that area. I used to be a deputy sheriff in Santa Cruz County.
Yes.
I know about that area, and I know about all the gaps that we have here. When it comes to a wall, it might slow things down.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it, but it's not working. The way I look at it, instead of the Army putting concertina wire in our city, they should get their heavy equipment over there and start working on access roads. Don't you think so?
I just want them to be there. You're
Yes,
right.
yes.
You're right. Most of my area is in the Tucson station, 80 miles from the
Yes.
border.
Yes. They should have more patrols, especially from this area, going that area.
All I know is I'm tired of the drug packers coming through my ranch.
Yes.
And I'm tired of the idea that the Border Patrol doesn't secure the border. Well, I have not been up here before.
To the gallery?
To the gallery.
No, you haven't been up here? No.
No.
Welcome to Hilltop Gallery.
Thank you, Denise.
The children and adults are here to give ideas of what they would do to make a wall more interesting or more accessible to the people.
Can you pass me some of the markers? Jim will use the red color. Color those and I'll color these.
The only thing that makes mine look a little less dramatic and dangerous is the heart-shaped balloon. And the sun's going to be happy, but he shoots fire at people. Seriously?
So why are you drawing the wire with the spikes?
So no one could get past.
Yeah, but why are you drawing it? Where did you see that?
The little spikes, but there weren't these, but I just want to draw those.
You saw those on the ground at the border? How about dogs and cats? Could they go through there?
If they're small enough.
Small enough?
This is the one.
Have you guys seen these before?
I've seen them in real life, but they were pretty high.
And you know what they're used to make sure that they see somebody if somebody's coming across.
I think you should add there more spikes.
Jim, are you getting a lesson, Jim?
Yes, I'm learning a lot. What I'd like to see is people on both sides shaking hands.
Nobody drew the gate. So how are they going to come across? There's got to be a gate, a port of entry. So this is your gate. This is the legal way they come across. Okay?
Well, I think in a common sense way, you build the wall, but to build the fence, the barrier, you need to put in roads.
I still stick to what I believe in, and like I said, we've had a wall. You don't have the people on this side of the wall ready to apprehend the person that jumps. So why build a wall? We understand. We live at the border. We understand. If you give the money to the right people, they'll know how to spend it.
People in Washington, D.C., all of our brilliant brains taking sides, the political side, they don't look at it from a common sense, practical, in Nogales, on my ranch view. No, they're just fighting each other. We ought to solve problems like Arturo and I could sit down and we could solve this issue.
I just got a call from Hollywood about beginning an issue. No, but just this this already has 130,000 views.
Really?
Yes. If you go into Facebook and you look it up, 130,000 views you can see since it first aired. So, and the students, the teachers that came with the academy, North Point Academy from Prescott, they were gonna. I presented that. I showed it to them, and they were gonna take it back to their board and show it at the school over there too, because all those students that were here, only 3 of them had been to Nogales. There was 30 of them. So, you know, these are students that live in Prescott, you know, where it used to be the capital of the state of Arizona, and very nice community, but they don't understand life in Nogales. Like, you know.
For that, neither does Nico. He wants to build the wall.
Oh yeah, and then
Marcy on the other side.
Yeah, and then another thing. Well, I also spoke with the CBP directors and on the transfer of the agents. He talked to him about what was happening, you know, because of the agents that were going to be transferred to Texas. 750 of them, 75 from Nogales. So he just wanted to give us a little heads up on that, so that we would know exactly what was happening in case we were questioned about the long lines at the border and stuff like that. And then other events, I just want to inform you that Public Works is currently working on various streets improving projects, and some of you have seen Calle Mayer going into Challenger School. Rivas, all that intersection was paved. Sonoita Crawford is being paved right now, and they also paved the parking lot for the soccer field at the end of Challenger School. So they did a nice parking lot. The guys, they did a great job. So kudos to our Public Works. 3 proclamations were done through my office, thanks to Lepi, and that was for the World Down Syndrome Proclamation, Autism Awareness, and Child Abuse Awareness also. And then participated on the Bicycle Classic on Saturday. Great event. That was very nice. I got so excited on that one that I went and bought a bicycle. Serious? Yeah, stationary bicycle. It's inside my bedroom.
Those are the safest ones.
Safest ones. You don't fall from those.
You can use your cell phone.
And you know what they're good for? you can use your cell phone on those. But you know what? You know what they're good for? You can hang your jackets on them and stuff like that too. I mean, and your sweats and stuff. Closet. Yeah. And then I was part, well, as you know, some of you were there, part of the Mayor's Forum, Binational Forum, and the lunch with the Consulado, and then we went to the border for the handshake and amistad. Most of you were there. So it was a busy month. Besides all the work I've done here at City Hall. That you don't want to talk about. Thank you, members. Anybody else have anything?
No, the only thing I'd like to comment on, Mayor, is I thought that friendship hug that we had at the border, especially with the Mayor of Douglas taking the time to come down there, and 2 of his council people there, and the other Presidente Municipales from various cities in Sonora. I thought that one was the best one I've ever attended. I thought it was good, and then they went to the Mayor's Forum, then they went to the luncheon, and then they had a luncheon at the college. The partnership between the city of Nogales and our community college district to put all of this together, I thought it turned out very well.
Yeah, they did a great job at the college.
They did. I just thought it turned out exceptionally well, and the Mayor of Douglas, he was very astonished of what goes on over here. Yes. And matter of fact, the council people from Douglas, I tell you, I want to introduce you to the port director. He's from Douglas. They didn't believe me. No. And I introduced him. He says, told him in Spanish, yeah, I grew up on this street and this street. And they were surprised that he was from Douglas. Okay, you need to go back to Douglas. But it was wonderful. I thought it was a lot of positiveness about our community, and everybody working together for a common cause, which I thought was just tremendous.
Yes, Mayor,
Yes, Councilman.
a comment regarding the bicycle event, which I heard a lot of positive comments on it. However, on the safety side of it, I did hear some concerns with, I believe the path was through Rio Rico, through Pendleton,
yes.
and there was construction there.
I heard
And so,
about
yeah, did you hear about that?
Yes, I heard about
there was a construction, of course, in that area. So, as far as a safety concern, we ought to look at that for the following years.
Yeah, 'cause
but I did hear it was very
yeah,
positive.
We had a meeting afterwards, and it was brought to the attention of the coordinators that some of the bicyclists, were concerned because it takes a little pebble like that to to take you down on the bicycle. So, maybe they were talking that maybe next time they're even though they know the route, they're going to have to do something, as close to a week before this bicycle race, just to make sure that there's nothing there. But
safety first. Yeah.
But DPS, everybody that worked on it, and all our police officers that worked on it, they did a good job. They did a great job escorting all the bicyclists. Yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
Two things. One, I want to invite everybody next Monday, the 8th, we're going to have a Little League opening ceremony at 6 o'clock at Little League Park. Hopefully everybody could make it there. Pool console on the 8th, on Monday at 6 o'clock.
We have a school board meeting.
And then the other thing is, yesterday, I haven't talked to Dr. Felix on this, but yesterday there was a fire up here on Adams, and I happened to just be getting to the baseball field when it was a couple minutes after it started. And unfortunately, we had the train stuck on the streets. Hopefully, we can work on them with rails. See what it's always 4 o'clock when they block it, and the last thing is, hopefully with this job description change, Mr. Felix, you have a better lean of trying to get that resolved, and even if it's an interim or whatever, hopefully we could have some positive things being done, and maybe work on having somebody that's been upgrading and advancing in the fire station department to support it.
Okay.
Right? Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to report that Fiesta de Mayo event. We already have 2 meetings. We're about 80% almost ready. And Marcel is having a meeting with the vendors April the 8th. Good luck, Marcel. I think we already have the okay from the supervisors to waive the fee. So they're not going to be charging the regular $75 fee for vendors, which is just great. And then I just want to make a comment regarding the Terrace Avenue. Thank you for all the changes and the signs and the painting of the street, and because it was really a problem. Almost every day I was having calls. And now they're happy. It was a good move. Thank you.
Like the police chief.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you, Chief.
But you're talking, Chief.
For all the work you've done with Terrace Avenue.
It was a great job, really.
And next time, pay attention and don't chew gum in the council chambers. I do that to my students. It's a teacher thing. Yes, Councilman, were you going to say something?
Yes, Councilman Bojorquez reminded me, I thought I had brought it up, but I guess he is correct, that we did attend the National League of Cities conference in Washington, D.C., and I thought that the partnership that we had with Dr. Felix was there, Mr. Kissinger traveled with us, and the lobbying that was done with all the legislatures on especially on the IOI and going there and the learning experience, it was very good. It was a good conference, good sessions, good speakers, but I thought the partnership that we all went up to lobby, especially on the last day when we met with both our Arizona senators, U.S. senators, turned out to be just a great activity of all of us working together. And I also want to compliment Marcel Bachiller. He's the chairman of the EBT board, and they passed our insurance policy does not include hearing aids, and I went over there to ask that they be included. And you know, the EBT board, let me tell you, they worked on this, and it was all done and came back with recommendation, and it's included now in our insurance policy. And Marcelo, I wanted to tell you, because I wish we could work as efficiently as you have that EBT board, but it was wonderful, and I thank you very much for doing it. And I think it's a great benefit for all of the employees of the city of Nogales. Well, there's more members here. Oh, Jeanette and Carmen, and I know Ana Lourdes and Frank Lopez, all of you guys, thank you very much. I thought you guys did a wonderful job on that. And I also like to say, Mayor, just as an announcement here, that our former city manager, Jaime Fontes, was just selected to be the city manager of the city of East Palo Alto, which is right adjacent to Stanford University, where Amazon has its big headquarters there. He's going to be the city manager there. The city is a population of 35,000 inhabitants. His salary will be $220,000 a year with benefits. It's $290,000. So just to show you where people from Nogales go.
What did he say?
And that's all that I had that I forgot to mention.
Councilman Bojorquez, do you have anything to say?
Councilwoman Melendez have kept me busy on the Fiesta de Mayo event. I know I've been going back and forth on different things, but it's going to be a good event, you know. And last Sunday I was at the Memorial Stadium for the inauguration of the Veterans League, and that was very interesting. There was like, I think it was 6 or 8 teams, and they all had their princesses with them, and they had a good turnout. So
good.
It was really good.
Thank you very much. And Councilman Halician, are you awake?
No, he's still getting over the Palo Alto. Can't believe
you don't have anything? No? Okay, I just have two comments. Tomorrow, make sure, just a little bit of time, at 3:30 in this council chambers, there will be the swearing in for city magistrate, Vanessa Kerner, tomorrow.
Mayor,
if you can make it.
Yeah, I won't be able to attend because I have to be up in Bisbee at the Seagull meeting because they're changing their format for the funding of the senior center. And Dr. Montiel and I need to be there so we understand the dynamics, and we got to get that funding. So I just can't be there at the school.
When you get over there, tell them that the treasurer, Mayor of Nogales, Seagull, approves it and get all the funding you can.
Well, if I... Okay, I'll see you.
So, is that it?
That's it.
That's it? You got it? And city manager, do you have anything?
No report.
No report at all? Anybody?
Well, yes, I do.
Okay, yes you do.
Mayor, I'd like to announce that we reviewed the revenues coming in, and we're going to recommend that we do the second distribution of $500 for employees.
Distribution for when?
For, well, we can have a special meeting.
That's our second half. Well, that would be under Mayor future agenda items. I have that
okay.
for future agenda items.
Okay. All right. Is that it?
That's it.
That's it? Okay. Number 9, future agenda items?
Mayor?
Yes.
Yes, we made a commitment back in December where we had budgeted $1,000, and we, at that time, because of the concerns on the border wall and everything, we decided that we would only provide half of the funding up front, and that in April that we would do it. So I'd like to request, Mayor, that we have a special meeting so that we can take action on those that bonus and wait and see what the recommendation is so that we can take action with a special meeting. And also, Mayor, I'd like to see that to look to hire a company to help us to go through our charter and get the charter changes that we need to, so we can put it up for the next election and give some, because we need to clean up our charter and all of that. And the bonus pay. And if you can give us an update, Dr. Felix, I think, Mr. Dillon, you went to the last update on the Mariposa overpass, and we'd like to know what's, because we haven't had any information, and also if you can give us some reports on what's going on with the flood control district that you did. Today there was a meeting, just so that, good, I'm glad you're being present there, so that we know what's going on though too. And the bonus, oh, also Mayor, if we could put down the ordinance of no texting.
Yes.
For a meeting on that. And
the hands-free.
Hands-free.
Hands-free, yeah. I think that's what I have. If we can have those items, oh, and the compensation pay. Whatever happened to the compensation pay? We're getting ready to start on our budget and everything. We spent $50,000 on it, and I haven't heard anything. So if you can, not now, but just give us an update, maybe on a special meeting, so we can take care of these items in that. So we can find out what we're going to do.
Okay.
And also that with.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, also on the tennis courts, we're discussing the tennis courts, if we can put it on the agenda, just to make sure that it's getting done.
Okay. We'll do that.
Well,
anybody else?
Yeah, Mayor,
yes.
The only thing, I agree with the tennis courts, but I thought we had agreed on the tennis courts that we're going to provide in our budget a financial category there to apply for those grants so that they can be ripped apart and get those matching funds that the gentleman said. And that's what we need to do. We need to rip them apart.
Yeah, but I mean,
then
let's get that so we can, because he said he could get it for us.
But won't that take you a long time?
Yeah, but the cost of repairing those things, this way, if we only have to put in $10,000 and they put in $50,000, $60,000, and we get it, I mean, so.
Okay, because maybe if you wanted a temporary repair for now, just so they can play.
That would be, but still put it on the agenda so we can get that discussed exactly.
Okay.
And see what's going on, because if we're going to apply for a grant, we might as well apply from it now.
Yes.
Why are we waiting for June or July?
Perfect. Let's do that. Okay, anybody else? Vice Mayor?
Mayor, the only thing, and I'll talk to Marcel on this, basically, the summer regional tournament's coming up, and I've talked to him, trying to get some more shade and stuff like that, and there's 5 out of 7 bleachers that don't have shade, and trying to get something on it.
All right. We'll talk to Marcel, see if Marcel has any type of budget for that.
If not, I've talked to Dr. Felix on trying to get some grants on to get that.
Okay, perfect. Councilman Rojas, anything?
No.
Let's get this.
No. Councilman Bojorquez, good item? Possible?
Yeah, a discussion item regarding the Board of Commissioners for the Housing Authority.
Okay, all right. Let's do that too. Yeah, that's been brought up. Just discussion.
Well, that's a little, but not for this mayor and council. That's when we meet as commissioners.
Yes. No, but we talked about it.
Yeah, no, I want to do it.
Okay.
But we bring that up when we act as commissioners for future agenda items as commissioners.
Okay.
That's a problem when we have 2 roles.
It's good to have 2 roles.
Well, yeah, but we don't spend enough time on it. Look at how much time I shouldn't be
Well,
talking, right?
It's hard if you're going to be in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania and.
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.
Man, there's a new movie he's going to be called